I imagine by the time I edit and upload this video, the second episode of Lantern will be out already. But it's all gravy. It doesn't matter what time these videos are dropped, as long as I get my feelings and impressions out, and you guys show me some love and appreciation as per usual. And before I even proceed with the first Lantern episode, Lantern or Lantern's first episode review, let me give a shout out to the new subscribers that joined my channel recently.
It's here and I like it.
I salute you all and I thank you very much. We finally got to 1,500 subscribers. I was shocked. And that came off the Spider-Man Brand New Day review.
That's right.
And then the X-Men 97 Season 2 review as well. So I salute you all.
You don't understand.
And I appreciate the people who are honest enough to say, you know, they didn't dislike the whole season, but they expressed themselves clearly without insulting, without saying you're trash, you're whack. I appreciate open, honest, intelligent conversations where we can all be honest and say, these 2 episodes are cool, but the rest of the season or the writing is flawed here or the dialogue. That's all I enjoy doing when it comes to this channel or this world of movie reviews and having conversations with strangers. You and I don't know each other face to face or in person, but when you can talk to a stranger with respect and honor and say, you know what, I see your point of view, or I see your perspective, I never thought of it like that. And even when you don't agree with something, but you don't insult someone to say, I disagree, you're this, you're that, I truly, deeply appreciate that. It is satisfying. It makes doing this more fun.
Yes.
Thank you once again, and welcome to my channel. Let me do a quick review for Lanterns, the first episode.
Woo!
The first episode. Very well done.
You're goddamn right.
With a few issues here and there, but as a whole, I enjoyed it. In fact, I feel a little weird for saying this, like a little corny, but I'm going to say it nonetheless. I watched it 3 times.
What?
I enjoyed it so much. I watched it 3 times. One of the people who commented in the video as well, and they said that the episode felt like Men in Black. That was the first thing I got, it was the first feeling I got. And I literally said in my head that if they ever choose to do another Men in Black reboot, and they chose these 2 actors just for that, I would watch it all the way through. As long as they make it intelligent.
That's right.
The acting is on point. Some of the dialogue is a little iffy here and there, like the sheriff. I didn't really like how the sheriff was speaking to, I think Hal I can understand. Some people don't seem to like Hal Jordan for some weird reason. Me, I appreciate how he is. And I know the show is doing something a little different than the comics, or I assume, I don't know the comics like that. But whatever liberties they've taken so far, it doesn't feel like it's a complete deviation or an insult to the original story or how Hal Jordan has been written from the origin story. He's more upbeat than John Stewart, and I find that interesting because he's older than John, but he does more jokes than John. John is very serious, and I know John has a military background. I get that. They both have some form of military training to an extent, right? Or do they? Or, you know what? I said I watched it 3 times, and that might be a mistake on my part.
Well, duh.
Despite their backgrounds, Hal being more quippy and more, I won't say jovial, I think. Maybe that's the wrong word. He doesn't seem boring, like an old boring guy. He seems fun. And because he's older, I find that it's an interesting take that they've done. They've done the reverse. They haven't made John Stewart the quippy guy or the more hee ha ha laughy guy. But the fact that Hal, the older guy, is the one who's got more energy, or seems to have more energy or more expressions than Hal. Hal's very, very straight, like a straight shooter. Hence the sniper thing. Straight shooter. You bust jokes once or twice. He's got a sense of humor. It's not like he's devoid of laughter or joy. But the fact that they're making the older guy more free with himself, I like that. They're not giving us overly grumpy, I've been through this, I've seen my friends die, I've seen my colleagues, whatever. Maybe that's going to come down the line. And maybe it's because of that he's chosen to be more, you know what, this is one life. I've experienced a lot in my existence as a human being, and then as someone who's been chosen by an alien celestial ring to become a galactic guardian or police to protect. Dude, that alone will either can crush a mind or expand someone's mind. And what does that even look like with religion? Do you even believe anymore, or do you even accept religion? Because you've gone to different cultures in space with different species, different beings. You've seen how different creatures live, different levels of intelligence, different levels of civilization, different levels of creativity, ingenuity, technology.
That's right.
That surely should have affected Hal, and I hope that carries on or gets to express itself in the episodes to come. But as the first episode alone, I was like, yep, I'm in. Much better than this stupid Jimmy Olsen thing that they're planning down the line. I hope the Clayface show, or is that a movie? Whatever that is, I hope it's also mature, because I like the maturity in this. The dialogue, again, in some areas, very, very good. Like the colonization thing, like one of the characters mentioned, boy, that dialogue alone, that line alone, I thought, okay, you guys are ready for some big stuff. Let me talk about the things I didn't like real quick, and in no particular order. The first thing that stuck out, that apple on the head thing with the father, yo, as a brown person, seeing that, especially as a father, that was a zero, like a complete no-no. There's no explanation you can give me, and I get it. I get the theme is supposed to be fear. I get you're supposed to be overcoming fear. There's a big thing around fear with the particular episode. I don't know if it's going to carry through the whole season, but I know episode 1 was talking about fear, from Hal Jordan's conversation about losing your parents, Jon Stewart's dad with the apple thing. Are you afraid? Conquer your fear. Even I can't remember the guy's name, the other character we saw on the farm, where there's this fear of being colonized by outside entities, especially entities you can't fight against, or you don't have current weapons or tools or gadgets that can stand against shape-shifting aliens, or creatures who you don't even know are in your midst. They could be your wife, they could be your family, they could be your closest allies, they could be the ones supplying you with weapons.
That's right.
The apple on the head thing, I don't condone that at all. That's abuse. You could say you're training, that is abuse. If your arm slips up a bit, he's not a machine, he's not a robot. So you have to hold your breathing. You have to, there's a level of trust there, yes. But if the son moves one way and the father moves one way, it's game over. And it's not like that was the first time. That's something that's been done multiple times. And I wonder if he's carried out that test on his other sons as well. I wonder what other tests he's placed on his other sons. I wonder what ranking Jon Stewart is in within the 3 brothers. Firstborn, secondborn, or thirdborn. I hope they elaborate that moving forward as well. So the second thing I found weird, as someone who, if I was putting myself in Jon Stewart's shoes, saying, okay, I'm training for this ring, for this position, and it's just not a tool or weapon or gadget. It's bigger than me.
That's right.
To be chosen by this thing, you have to have no fear, or if anything, you've conquered your fear mostly. And I imagine there are some lanterns who have shown no fear to an extent, but during their run as a Green Lantern, you'd have experienced something that would have shocked you or caused fear. It doesn't matter what species you are, right? You haven't experienced everything in your lifetime to challenge you to see if you still have fear left in you. And is that also possible as well? Surely the Guardians wouldn't be expecting any of their lanterns to exhibit zero fear from the point of the ring choosing the host or the recipient to their run as a lantern until they cease to exist. Meaning, surely the whole theme of fear or overcoming your fear is something that should carry on as a lantern, where you meet your demise or your demise is right in front of you. You escape death, or you see your fellow lanterns get decimated in a way that freaks you out, and then fear. So surely all the lanterns would have struggled with fear after attaining the ring.
That boy is good.
So my point is, I wonder if the fear test is something that is always going on underneath the surface with the ring as well, always checking its host. Okay, is the host still able to maintain zero fear, or at least 98% of no fear rather than 100% no fear? At least, does it vary, or is it all the way through? Or if you exhibit fear 10%, the ring is like, no, this host is no longer viable. I'm going to find another one. So I don't know if the show is basically just keeping it strictly to zero fear, or it's the soul, the heart, the compassion, the mind, the moral compass, or the morality of the person. Meaning the ring wouldn't just choose a douchebag, or it can choose a douchebag who's on the path. Like how sentient or how intelligent, how wise are the rings? Because I'm not sure if the Guardians designate the rings to choose their host in the comics and in the show, or the energy that is that exists within each ring is the one that does the final choosing. So let's say the Guardians choose a particular host, and then the energy or the entity or being inside the green energy being is like, I'm the final call. And I wonder if that energy is wise enough to observe a planet, right? And then pick out this person. And despite the society around a person saying this person is mean or they don't like this person, for example, but the ring sees beyond that. So it's almost like the ring can see potential, right? Like a future potential, saying put in a different environment or given particular tests or challenges or even protecting this person from a particular environment, remove him or her from this environment, this being wielding this ring can thrive in a better environment or different environment.
Good question.
So I wonder if the show will touch on that, or the show is just strictly saying zero fear. And I mean, even that, oof, boy, that means every day you're walking around, there's a potential of the ring just slipping away and say, you were too afraid today, bye. But let me segue that. Let me know how you feel. Let me know, for those of you who are knee deep into the comics, let me know how it is in the comics. And then let me know what you're getting, what you're feeling from the show in general as to how the ring works. Maybe I'm doing too much with that question or that theme. I don't know, because the show hasn't made me feel, okay, it's zero fear. You can't feel. That means if someone gives you a jump scare, you're like, because I got a ring on, I can't feel fear. Or if you take the ring off, can you feel fear? Like the way Hal held the bubble around the alien, that part, oh, dude, that we're going to get to that.
Nice.
Jon Stewart having copulation with that random lady in the car from the bar. Dude, if I was in his shoes, I would never do that.
You serious?
You don't know who that is. You're on a case where you're dealing with aliens, right? That's what Hal says. You don't know. And Hal's ring doesn't have a detector. Like the ring, I wish the ring could do that. It'd make it much easier if the ring, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is the ring just a tool and that's it? Or does it have some level of sentience? Like, okay, I can sense like, can you do an X-ray scan? Can you do a heat signature scan with the ring? Like, how powerful is the ring? The fact that Hal was saying a few things, and I'm like, you guys are making this first episode look like Hal is a little crazy or he's doing too much. And I guess that makes sense because dude, you've experienced a lot beyond what people can imagine. Anything people trying to imagine wouldn't even match what Hal has gone through as a human being before getting the ring, then after getting the ring. Dude, no. You can't fathom it. So I like how John didn't undermine Hal. Dude, you've got the ring and it felt to me like John was looking at Hal like, you've got the ring plus you've gone through some things that I don't know about. So I'm taking in everything. He wasn't disrespectful, cheeky, yes, but not rude or talking down to someone. And I wonder if that's the undertone of, a brown person with the Caucasian and then with the history of the country, of course, or it's Jon Stewart's training and then as a African American, we're taught to respect our elders. And there's ways how that can, pay off. Sometimes some of us will say, yo, there's a particular area you hold that back. You don't just give anyone how we express our love and respect for our elders, because some people don't deserve that respect because of how insulting or rude that they are. You can sense a douchebag. You can sense an older person is a prick. You've got all the gray in your head, but you're a prick.
Damn.
When he slept with that lady, I was like, yo, that is one thing I wouldn't do. Because I know, just imagine you're going through training for a pastor or training for a priesthood or shaman and whatnot. There's certain times I imagine you'd be told, get all your energy out. If it's sent, you want to lay with ladies, go through that process first. Because once you go through this training, there's certain things you're going to have to hold back on.
You ain't lying.
So he's training to get the ring or to be the recipient of the ring after Hal. But that part when he just easily laid down, I was like, I wonder if that's going to come up later. Aside from when it did on the farm. I mean, in general, to say you can't control yourself with a stranger. You've met a woman, you don't know who she is or what she is. You're on a case where Hal is telling you, this thing is aliens. You don't know, but Hal knows. Hal knows. We have to, watch the episode to see how that comes out. And this definitely can't be the first time Hal has gone through something like this. So to just lay with a woman that you just met in the bar, my instinct was like, yo, I would never do that. And even if Hal didn't say it's aliens or whatnot, it doesn't matter. My thing is, my feelings is that I'm training under this guy for this ring, for this thing that no human being can construct.
What does that have to do with anything?
No, he's got a point.
No human being can make this, can AI this, can 3D print this, nada. You cannot. This is something beyond the comprehension. and beyond the imagination or the power of a human being to make, no matter how many nations come together. Let's stop all the war and poverty and we come together and put our funds. Nope, you can't. That's one thing I love about what this ring stands for.
That boy is good.
I'm surprised that there aren't other nations clamoring for the ring or clamoring to work with Hal. Maybe in the past they did. Maybe Russia would have said, let's work together, or this, or I wonder if there were complaints in the past. Oh, America's got nuclear weapons. Now they've got this guy with the ring. Oh my gosh, how are we going to defend ourselves against this? I wonder how many people have done research. Like, oh, what's the weakness of the ring?
It's a good question.
Also, you have to keep your willpower up, or your will, your mind. So the mind is, if you attack the mind and the person can't hold the construct. I wonder how many people have done like background research on this thing. But that's me speculating, assuming that Hal was a lantern on Earth for a while before he got, or he frequented Earth and whatever sector he was sent to. I mean, despite this show not being exactly as it is in the comics, he must have been around Earth for a little while, or back and forth, further into the galaxy doing his thing, and then being sent back to Earth, or tracing, things like different species leading back to Earth and whatnot. Maybe like the Men in Black thing, there's some aliens who he's allowed to enter Earth atmosphere because he trusts them.
That's a good question.
But John Stewart laying with that lady, that was bold. That was bold. So either whether or not Hal was looking for aliens, if the story was different, I still wouldn't. I would want to keep myself as clean as possible. And if I was dating someone, that's a different story. So laying with someone that I'm in love with, or I'm in a relationship with, that's a different story. But a stranger, you didn't even check to see if she has her wedding ring on. You didn't even ask. She just said, walk me to my car. Yep. And then bam, bam. I was like, yeah, dude. I'm surprised Hal didn't even bring it up. Like, dude, you're supposed to be training. You're supposed to where's your Zen? Like center. Because sexual energy isn't it's its own thing. So I thought that was going to play in the episode. Maybe in the next episode they might. Well, that's just me being extra.
Yes.
Then the sheriff, the dialogue when Sheriff was talking to Hal, I was cool with that. When she called John Stewart shithead, I was like, yeah, that's rude, dude. It's the first time you've met this human being, shithead. You say, sir, John, or just, hey, what did I say? Just straightforward. But the shithead?
Damn.
It's not like he stepped on evidence and whatnot, but shithead. Yeah, that's rude.
Damn, son.
And then her father, who's the owner of the farm, that dialogue was, when he asked John, I hear you're vegetarian, and in the same space where he said you're vegan, vegetarian, he had meat, raw, bloody.
What?
Especially if you're feeding someone who is vegan or vegetarian, you don't mix the flesh and the non-fleshy food in the same space. If it's in the same kitchen, cool, but in the same kitchen area or like sink or chopping board, you gotta have two different knives, everything, just for sanitation purposes, because you don't want any contamination in any shape or form. I was like, yeah, this guy's definitely written to be like this for a reason. So when we had the full circle, I realized the lady that John Stewart slept with is his wife. That's why I was like, you see, he shouldn't have done that in the first place. And the way she was talking and he was carrying the ring, I thought the ring was supposed to be this thing you hold. But then again, I guess if anyone else picked up the ring, it wouldn't work, right? Because it already chosen Hal Jordan to be its successor. Then after Hal passes away, for example, realistically, what does the ring then do? Can Hal choose his next, his protege, saying, upon my passing, I nominate John Stewart to be the next lantern who wields this ring? Boom. Or is it that plus the test of morality? You're a good judge of character. You're a good person. Have you done good things? Are you without fear? Like, I wonder what the steps are for someone to wield the ring. So aside from the Guardians and the ring itself choosing a person, how will the show let us know the choosing process of the ring, especially when it comes to John Stewart? Because Hal has the ring, and I think in the comics, the ring, Hal already has his ring, and the comic book lore, you don't give away your ring, or your ring doesn't, because when Hal got it from I can't remember his name. I forgot. Oh my gosh, his name was so easy to remember before. The alien who came to Earth, who crash landed on Earth, and then the name is coming and going. But I remember that when I watched the cartoon, he spoke to the ring and said, "Go and find the next person who you deem worthy and bring them here." So when that was done, I could have sworn John Stewart and Hal Jordan in the comics, right, both have their individual rings, meaning John Stewart didn't inherit the ring from Hal after he passed away. Or am I wrong? Let me know in the comment section. Because right now in the comic book lore, surely Hal and John Stewart are alive side by side, right? They've gone through fights or gone through missions together side by side, wielding their own individual rings. This is why sometimes when you're not a comic book fan, you don't really know the right questions to ask. But let me know in the comment section if I'm correct or incorrect. So I wonder what this process will be like in this show, being that they've changed a few things around as well. And I wonder how the fans feel about that. Because I'm okay with it. I don't mind the changes because the first episode so far is solid. Absolutely solid. The fact that this is more entertaining than the stupid Superman nonsense from James Gunn and Supergirl. This is a 1 hour-ish episode or 45 minutes episode. And it was more entertaining for me, for my entertainment experience or my enjoyment, how I enjoy things. Knowing it's a show, I enjoyed this a lot more than I did Superman. Despite a few annoying scenes like the dialogue, like I said earlier on with the sheriff, and the court scene that was very annoying. And the putting the apple on the son's head, but other scenes, yes, but there were some scenes more annoying than others. The court scene, we didn't need that one. I know they used that to introduce the sheriff's husband and then the father inviting them over. They could have found better ways to do that. Then last but not least, the scene I enjoyed the most. I enjoyed the episode despite other annoying scenes, but the scene I enjoyed the most was the interrogation between Hal and the alien.
That's what I'm talking about.
Dude, that was just wonderful to watch. Because I was like, just use your ring to just scan this dude if he is what he is that you say he is or he isn't. But the way Hal let him play it out. But I guess for the viewers as well, the tension, the back and forth, and the way he was leaning forward, I was like, oh, dude, I don't know where Hal is going with this, but this scene has to pay off. You have to give the audience a payoff. Otherwise, it'll be an annoying scene for the sake of it, and then you put Hal in prison again. I was like, no, something has to happen. Either someone else breaks into the prison and then Hal has to protect himself and the sheriff and Jordan. Then they break out the guy. But what they did, I imagine some people would be like, yeah, it was telegraphed. You could see that coming on my love. I didn't.
Come on.
Because the more it was going on, I was like, yo, you could be wrong, Hal, because you're so sure of yourself. I'm like, okay, well, he's experienced things that we can't fathom. So what is he seeing in this guy that is giving off alien vibes? Yeah, he described it and yada, yada, yada. But I was like, just use your ring and scan the homeboy. Surely your ring can do that. X-ray, V-ray, white ray, heat signature, anything, pulse signature, EMC, EMF. Come on. Surely it can do a lot more than the brain thinks it can do. Just scan the guy and say he's an alien, but that dialogue, and then boom. When he started saying, oh, we have a thing built into the skeletal structure that I'll just ignite with a thought, I was like, what? Yo. And he made the technology he described within his skeletal structure much, much more fascinating and sweeter than the Green Lantern ring.
You serious?
But then the way he described it, he said, all he has to do is activate it with a thought. I was like, well, if you're serious about what you say you're here to do with the whole vengeance, right? He said vengeance before he went off. I was like, well, why is the countdown there? Who's the countdown for? Is the countdown for your other accomplices, your other alien family? Then that makes sense. But what if they sent you somewhere solo to do a thing? Would you then thought activate yourself and then have a beeper? Beep, 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 beep. That felt like a countdown. Beep, 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 beep.
That's a good question.
No one knows you're an alien. I just want to know, what's the countdown? What's the beeping for? The way he said it, it's a thought and then boom, right? Maybe it's a dialogue. Maybe the dialogue threw me. He just said activate it with a thought. So the beeping, I was like, well, it's cool visually to see how Hal was like, what's that beeping noise? Toss him there, bubbled him in the ring, and then held the bubble.
Get this man a shield.
The back and forth, because Hal was so like, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. You keep yapping. The Harry Potter thing, I was like, well, I don't think that's a good enough test, because anyone could just easily Google that or whatever. But I like how you said it's the specifics. You've learned the general thing, but it's the minute stuff, like the very, very specific things that you wouldn't need to focus on. And he caught him out nicely. But the way he was like, I don't know what you're saying, sir. Then his mannerism just changed. And then boom, he's giving dialogue. I'm like, yo, he just said, what, activate his bomb with a thought? All right, Hal, run as fast as you can. So hopefully the rest of the episodes really shows their relationship blossoming, because the way they end the episode after the bomb thing and a number of years passed, I was like, okay, moving forward, it feels like a misdirect, right? You wouldn't cast that actor who's playing Hal Jordan for that one episode. So we're going to get a lot of flashbacks back and forth, back 2016, 2026, back and forth. We get that. But I'm hoping you haven't really, terminated the character. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, I don't, who would do that to him? Like, what? I don't know. Again, this is what makes me wonder how powerful is that ring?
That's a good question.
Because the original way I saw lanterns is once you have the ring on, you always have the suit on automatic. And if you're being shot at, do you have to block the bullets, or does the ring activate instinctively on its own without even you thinking? Before you even think a thought, the ring is like, yo, danger. So I wonder how the show will show will show us how strong and powerful this ring is. Meaning, if a bee or a wasp is in the vicinity, you know, either a bubble shows up or the suit just ignites or a shield gets on, because it's intelligent enough to scan whatever planet it's on, and it knows the host who's wielding the ring is allergic to bees or wasps, for example. And then there's a bee in the vicinity, and then, you know, this is how sexy you want to make the show. This is how sexy you want to make the ring. So to have us see a bullet wound on Hal's personage, I'm like, okay, so how did that happen? You need to let us know the limits of this ring outside of fear, right? Or outside of a lack of will, or not maintaining your willpower, or your mental very, very strong. And then, can you stop a bullet? Can you stop a missile? Can you stop a freaking tank? Can you stop a tornado? Like, how strong, if you're being shot at by a Gatling gun, will the ring activate before you react? I just need to know that properly. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to episode 2. I'm looking forward to the whole show. But episode 2 for me is going to be my next test to see how this show is going to be moving forward. Because the first episode is excellent, but they could fumble the whole season moving forward. Look at X-Men 97 season 1 and 2.
What do you mean by that?
Imagine buying, for those of you who are in the same age group as I am, buying an album, right? Physical disc, or even if it's digital, whatever. It's 20 tracks. On average, you would like at least 15 tracks to be fire. I'm okay with 5 tracks not being so good. That means those 5 tracks I don't have to play again. Now, maybe I'm hosting a party. Some people who come to the come to the party like, oh, you're playing this artist's album. Can you play track 15 or track 17? And that's one of the tracks I don't like. But some people do like those tracks. I don't mind playing it. But am I lonesome in my own personal space, or around people like myself who love the album and the artist, I'm not going to play the tracks we don't like. So if I pay money for something and 15 out of 20 tracks are excellent, I'm gravy. 1 or 2 skits, I'm gravy. But you buy an album of 20 tracks and 5 are good, and then 15 are just mediocre. I mean, I wouldn't play them again on repeat. Like the way I deal with music, I love to loop my songs, man. 5 tracks are good on a 20-track album, and 15 are garbage? No, siree bab.
Damn.
I despise that. That's why I don't like, as a package, the X-Men 97 season 1 and 2. Again, some episodes were fire. I'm not here to watch a show and say some episodes are fire. No, I want to experience and enjoy your whole package. So when I bring up movies like The Matrix, for example, Terminator 1, Terminator 2, Aliens, despite some issues here and there, in every movie that exists, we can at least agree that as a collective, T1 is good, T2 is good, Alien is good, Aliens is good. Now, some might say they prefer Alien 1 over 2. As long as you can say it's good is great, then we're all satisfied. But a 20-track album and only 5 are good, those me, and I'm paying for this experience? Nah, that's a poor experience. So hopefully the whole season is excellent, because episode 1 is fire so far for my entertainment experience, for how I like to watch a show. It was beautifully done. Despite a few things that I mentioned, say I didn't like this, didn't like that, some dialogue here and there, I can point out my dislikes and still say, as a whole, well done. Just like the Penguin show, I didn't want that show at all. When I saw the trailer, I was like, why are we getting the Penguin show? When the show came out, beautifully done, excellent, beautifully done. I was like, yo, when's season 2 coming out?
That's right.
So this is the second show for me that I've enjoyed thoroughly so far from DC, but it's the first episode, and that's a good thing. This is what you're using to say, guys, come check us out. This is your taste tester. So moving forward, if everyone is like, oh, if this is how your meals are going to taste moving forward, then we're onto a good start. But if your next episodes are sour, you're doing too much talking, less action, silly dialogue, we're doing love triangle with Jon Stewart, the wife, and the guy who owns the ranch or the farm, whatever it is, I don't want that. You need to stick to the core of this show.
I like this one.
I don't know if the show did this on purpose, but I peeped what they did when Jon Stewart was clean shaven. And at the end, he had the little goatee thing because it reminded me of Justice League Unlimited. I think that's when he grows the goatee. And does he have a low haircut? Is he bald? No, I think it's a low haircut. He's not bald, is he? Anyway, the goatee thing made me, I was like, oh, yo, that feels like a callback to JL Unlimited. And if it's not, then that's just me. But if it is, that's awesome. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But then again, you could say that's just them trying to establish the difference within scenes to let us know, or within the timeline to let us know when it's 2016 and when it's 2026. But I'm, again, looking forward to seeing what they do with the show. I hope that with what they've set up in episode 1, they maintain or peak, not dip. We don't want dips. And I don't want no filler episodes. Whatever you do in this show has to tie into your greater story. So even if it feels like it's a deviation or it's a segue to something else or a side quest, tie it back to the grand scheme of things. Don't lose your audience, because the fact that everyone's buzzing about this. I even did a poll, and I'm surprised to have seen, because I put what did I put in again? Hold on, give me a second. All right, here we go. It's got 58 votes so far. I asked Lantern Show on HBO Max is here. How do you feel? I put 4 options. First option is excited. Second one is neutral. Third one is I'll watch the show, but I don't care. Fourth one, is hopeful. The highest 2 so far, basically, is excited and neutral. But neutral is higher.
What?
I thought after people seeing the show, I thought the ratio would change between excited and neutral. I thought excited would be higher than neutral. If I saw someone else do this poll, I'll be unexcited, because I am excited. First episode alone, that's enough for me to say I'm looking forward to the whole show. It's like a 90%. This is good. This is good TV so far. So yeah, I want to see episode 2 and 3. And by the third one, then I'll know how they intend to deal with the whole show moving forward.
That's right.
Questions that I have, for example, how the ring works, its limitations, and its limitations by the wield, as well as its own limitations by the design of the Guardians. And then what else is it?
What do you mean by that?
Like, I want to know more about the ring, and I feel they need to make it make sense so anyone watching the show can get how the thing operates. Like I asked earlier on, can you do an X-ray thing with the ring in the show, not in the cartoons or in the comics? And I imagine the cartoons, you can get away with a lot of stuff as well as in the comics. That's why I said earlier on, for those of you who know the comic book lore more than I do, please feel free to express yourself as detailed as you want in the comments. So that way others who don't know lanterns the way I don't know lanterns, for example, you can educate them as well. But we don't want to, warp things. We want to give clarity to say, okay, this is why. So for some of you who don't necessarily like what they're doing with the show, express your feelings, of course. And this is why I don't like because of this, because in the comics, you can do this with the ring. In the show, it looks like the ring can't do this. I imagine the first issues people have, like I did myself when I saw the trailer, is Hal sharing the ring with Jordan. That's the one thing I was like, I could have sworn in the cartoons that I've watched in the past, both lanterns, Hal and Jordan, have the individual rings. But we'll see how the show bends that. And I need it to make sense. I want to be able to say, you know what? I can see why you did it, but you didn't need to. But for the show you've made based on the rules you've changed, it works.
That's right.
Let me know how you feel about the episode. Let me know what you're looking forward and what you like, what you don't like. Let me know again, like the poll, are you neutral? Or are you excited? Or are you hopeful? Do you trust the showrunners with this show? Despite those of you who are Green Lantern fans and you know the comic book lore, just putting that to the side as a show, what do you like about it? Not what, I can imagine people can, put a list of 50 things they don't like about it, but what do you like about it? What are you looking forward to them doing? What do you hope the show does to bring in newcomers who don't know about DC that much, who don't even know about the Lanterns, where they can get inspired enough to pick up a comic book or two, or watch a cartoon or two, or feature-length animated Green Lantern movie as well. Let me know in the comment section below. I've, of course, been your one and only multi-potentialite, neurodivergent host,
The Kosmic Jedi, signing out. Thank you for watching.